Hi all, how are you?
Nice to see you again.
Yeah,
Hi.
we've been together. Hi, I represent myself because I'm gonna support in facilitating this group. So I'm Paola Polmeyer from Colombia. I'm leading a project which is called Platos Sin Fronteras, and and today I would love to see how we can co-create on that topic. I would propose that we have like 10 minutes for a short introduction round. So I would propose that everyone, I will ask each of you to present himself and tell a little bit about the name, organization, and what made you choose this group. I will put this in the chat so we remember the two questions. And I would propose that we start with Joaquin. Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Wild, that we're all meeting in the ether. I've been watching a lot of like futuristic kind of cyberpunk movies, and this forum is very representative of Blade Runner, if y'all have seen that. But very happy to be connected with those of you who I don't know. All my friends from Chile, what's up? I'm Joaquin Elizondo. I represent Insurgo. We're based in New York City, and we were founded initially as a consultancy. My business partner, who some of you may know, is Chef Harold, and we got connected. I'm from California. He's from the Bronx, and we started just selling services to restaurants, front of house, back of house, operations, accounting, and marketing. And within that, we found, at least in a lot of the neighborhoods we were based in, the Bronx, Uptown, Washington Heights, and the Upper West Side, that restaurants and their growth were struggling to connect with communities, especially in a place like Manhattan. And with food becoming so widely available over delivery apps, they needed a marketing mechanism that injected themselves into the community. So long story short, we started getting hired by nonprofits to develop what this community cultural outreach would be. And one of the core products was a curriculum that got picked up by the New York Department of Education. And a couple of years ago, we started Insurgo Foundation to continue the proliferation of that curriculum. So that's what we do. Joaquin from Insurgo, based in New York.
Thank you, Joaquin. Muchas gracias.
De nada.
Okay. Sebastian Diaz, I see here in our group. Can you tell us a bit about you and why you chose this group?
Yeah, my name is Sebastian from Chile. I am part of NYAM, the festival and the platform. Also, I am part and founder of the Fundación Gastronomía Social. So I am part of this project with Francisca and the other guys that she said. So I am so interested in hearing all of you. How can we develop the financial project?
Do you also have a restaurant? Do you have a restaurant with the foundation? Do you have a restaurant?
No,
perfect.
No. We're gonna be the hub that organize and move between the providers and the restaurants. No.
Great, thank you, Sebastian.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna talk with Chris now. Chris Moore, can you present yourself, please?
Hello, Chris Moore from the UK. We run training restaurants in prisons, where we train prisoners, men and women, to be chefs and waiters, and also we have horticulture programs. And then we meet them at the gate and we get them jobs. And the reason we do what we do is to reduce reoffending. And the reason I was interested in this group was really looking at how we can collectively support and help each other if we had a central financial pot, so we can all help each other out. But recognizing that we're all busy people anyway, we may want a central pot that could fund someone to do some of the administration for us.
Great, thank you, Chris. Merci. Okay, now we're going to switch to Frederick Schulze.
Yeah, thank you, Paola, and thanks again for inviting me yesterday when we had our first bilateral call, so to speak. I'm very happy to be here and very happy to get to know you all. I'm Frederick from Germany at the moment. Usually I'm living in Berlin, but at the moment I'm sitting in the house of my parents in the countryside north of Hamburg, which is an inn and an old farmhouse and a lamp hotel, if you want, at the same time. And this is kind of my very first original access to the whole topic as such, because over the last decades and years, we developed a close network of 35 food artisans, farmers, and producers in the direct environment of the house here of the little village who supplied us with food. And so we had, over the years, we had developed very, very close connections to the farmers and to the producers, and we combined that with social charity events here in the house for people, less privileged people, and also, for example, events against food waste and other environmental problems. I'm also a member of Slow Food Germany. I was serving as a member of the board of Slow Food Germany for 3 years, from 2016 to 2019, and therefore I have different accesses and inside views into different, say, farming networks and gastronomy networks all over the country, as well as throughout Europe and the world in some cases. Yes, and I have some experience in volunteer work with different organizations like the Order of Malta and the Johanniter, who are very dedicated to charity work and to old, say, values and understandings of hospitality, serving the less fortunate and serving poor and serving sick people. And my core interest, so to speak, being here in that group is how to combine food systems resilience with charity and hospitality work for less privileged people. So kind of coming from a standpoint of, say, holistic sustainability approach.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Frederick. I'm really happy that you joined. And I don't know if Esther is here, because Esther is from Über den Tellerrand. So she's in Berlin as well, and also like our contact in Germany. So yeah, great that you're here. Camila Moreno, I will ask you to present. We have to be a little bit, try to keep it a little bit shorter, because now I'm seeing that we're a really big group.
No problem.
And so yeah, so let's keep going. Yeah,
So, well, hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here, having this great conversation to make like a wonderful future for our industry. So I'm also part of Fundación Gastronomía Social, the hub in Chile. So we're trying to coordinate and make it work, you know, this beautiful project that includes different restaurants that they cannot open right now, and they need to continue like moving on and still working for their people too, and linking it to people that is really vulnerable nowadays, and they really need like a little hug, you know. That's what we're trying to send them through this project. And I'm also part of a collective where we do different products that have to do with fermentation and the basics of food making, like cheese making, charcuterie making, and things like that.
great, super. Thank you so much for the introduction.
You're welcome.
Okay, we will continue now with, thank you, Camila, Álvaro Pumarino.
Hi everyone. I'm from Santiago, so I chose this group. I'm doing permaculture and urban farming, so I'm glad to give a help to Kurt, to Francisca, and to my fellows. I'm glad to see Chris Moore from London.
Great. We will hopefully, once we have our next global meeting where we can actually meet all together, it's going to be happening, that we're going to catch up all together. So thank you. Francisca Dibán, can you present?
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Francisca again. I'm from Chile. I'm from the project that we are making with the Social Gastronomy Hub. I also have a restaurant, so I'm gonna be one of the restaurants that are making the food.
Okay.
I have a restaurant from 3 years ago. We only sell real food with local producers, seasonal food, fresh food.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Francisca. Magali?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Yeah, I am here to learn from all of you. I work for the government, and I am working on presenting a plan to reopen restaurants. And you know, the example of Chile is such a great experience. We're neighbors. We're so close, and I'm just here to learn from all what you guys have been doing, and such a great idea. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you, Magali. Thank you so much. Okay, now we go Chloe and Emily. Do you want to present Chloe first and then Emily?
Hello, my name is Chloe. I am French and I work with the social gastronomy movement. So I'll be there to take notes and support Paola and especially learn from all of you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Perfect. Emily, very short. Please.
Yes, Emily from Mirror Kitchen Collective in Baltimore, Maryland. We are, since this started, we've been providing meals for any folks in need, vulnerable people, and employing. We're started by primarily refugee and immigrant women, but now a lot of them aren't able to work as they're home with their kids. So we've been employing different laid off restaurant workers who mostly are undocumented and in the US can't get any government benefits or unemployment due to their status. So we're trying to help folks out on both levels.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily. Perfect. Thanks. It was a long introduction round, let's say, but I'm pretty sure right now we're going to be focusing on listening to a case which we brought. And I would like to invite
Francisca.
To present.
Sorry.
I was looking for Francisca. Thank you.
Okay, it's okay. I'm here to support.
To present her case. And the idea is that while we are listening to her, already write down if we have questions and what kind of possibilities we see possibilities we see to collaborate on this. So Francisca, I would like to ask you to present, please.
Okay. Do you want me to present again all the project, or?
Well, not all the project, but maybe a little bit more in details. It's 5 minutes you have because it was a very short introduction. So maybe you can give us a little bit more feedback. Also having in mind the question we have, right? Which is developing a plan for a network of financial sustainable restaurants. So if you can give us a little bit more information of your case related to this question.
Okay. So we want to make a platform for helping the most vulnerable sectors through restaurants, food, and their local producers network, empowered by the foodie community. How does this work? Through donations, we want to make a platform for restaurant clients, citizens, and corporatives. They buy the number of plates they want, for example, 3,000 Chilean pesos each, and the money goes directly to the restaurant that we will cook daily to the ones in need. With this income, the restaurants will start again with their operations and connect with the communities. In the future, we believe that this could transform into a permanent, sustainable platform, because restaurants and bars could use their closed days or dead hours to increase their incomes by a social business model operation. So the pilot will start with 5 restaurants. We are 3 in Santiago and 2 in Antofagasta, all in Chile. We want to make 300 dishes per day per restaurant, a 1-month campaign. And what is the most important things that we want to demonstrate is that the actions can come from each one of us, and that we are an essential part of this new, more conscious world that we have to create together. We want to reach a huge social impact daily. The pilot is with 1,500 dishes per day. establish a new link between gastronomy and the most vulnerable sectors in Chile, establish a new social business model for restaurants post-crisis, and create good practices toolbook open to the community of restaurants and other organizations. Going now to the question that you put here, how can we develop a plan for a network of financially sustainable restaurants connected to local producers that we will support the most vulnerable? We were thinking about, we can talk about initiatives or campaigns that we could be done with the community or indoor in the restaurants also, like to maintain an ongoing contribution.
Okay.
Like not only to put the money once, like to generate a continuous contribution. Or someone who have experiences with business partners that can be useful for this project, or issues that you could have with donations, how to convenience companies to donate, like revenue sharing,
Okay.
like the example of Tom Shoes, that they donate like a percentage of the sales, or recommendations about communications also.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Francisca. So yeah, like what I understand, so the dynamics are that Francisca presents, and then first of all, I mean, I have a lot of questions I have on my mind right now, listening to your case. The idea is that we make questions if we didn't understand something of the solution, right? And yeah, like what questions do you have for Francisca? Do you already know cases like that? Are there things which we didn't understand?
Francisca, are there platforms already active in the communities or the networks that you're targeting?
No, now in Chile, we don't have nothing.
And with quick regards to NYAM and their network, is that a resource that you might be able to plug into?
Yes, totally.
And Francisca?
Sebastian can talk about that also.
Yeah.
Just one question.
Yep.
Pardon.
Frederick, yeah.
Yeah.
No, like say. Sure.
Okay,
sorry.
first Frederick and then Sebastian. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Francisca, maybe I didn't understand it, but just as a question, have you ever considered of founding cooperatives in the social context of the restaurants, that people become a member of the cooperative, potential guests, and pay, like, speaking in European money units now, like 50 euros per month, comparable to the money you have to pay for the membership for being in an association, that you have a kind of permanent money flow based on low sums of money in a big group, so comparable with community supported agriculture. Maybe you know that. Maybe that idea can be transferred to gastronomy as well.
Thank you, Frederick. Sebastian, do you have any question or proposals?
No, not a question right now. Just answering that from NYAM, we have a huge network and contacts around Santiago. So that's why we are part of the project, also with the foundation. This is the answer that you were asking about.
Yeah.
How NYAM is going to participate?
Yeah, that was the question from Joaquin, right?
Yep.
How NYAM is related. Okay, perfect. Thank you. What other, any other questions, like to understand the situation a little bit more clearly?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, yes.
Yes, I was just curious, asking Francisca. I wrote my question. I'm very curious about the logistics. How do you work it? I mean, to transfer the ingredients, right, the resources from the fields or from the industries to the restaurants, and then once you prepare the meals, how do you reach the vulnerable communities? Because the problem in Peru right now is that everything's, you know, under closure. We are like more than 40 days already in this, how do you call the, aislamiento social, the social distancing, and the closing of all the businesses are closed, right? So transportation is very difficult, and only a few are given the permission to mobilize within the city. So I was so curious to know about the logistics. How do you, you know, reach to those vulnerable communities?
Answering to you, the first part, the local farmers, they are delivering right now. They have no problem delivering.
They have their own vehicles, or
yeah,
or how?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because actually I'm cooking now to hospitals and I buy to them, so there's no problem with that. And with the transportation, the communities, we want to work with the municipality.
Okay, great.
Yes, we are not going to make the logistic of like our own.
I have an update in that, Fran. I have an update because yesterday we had the news with the mayor of Providencia that they're gonna give us the exact number of people who's really in need in that part of Santiago, just to start. And they're also gonna give us the number of people who lives in each house, like that we're gonna get like exact portions. And besides that, Avis Rent-A-Car, they're gonna lend us 2 trucks to distribute the food and with fuel and everything. So it's starting to get in shape, everything.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
I have a question. Like how, I mean, mainly it was born, this initiative, if I understand it right, as a food aid model during COVID, right? Is this how the idea was born? That's my first question. And then secondly, the idea right now is that it's not only food aid during COVID, but it becomes a solution which in the long term is sustainable. Is that correct?
Yes, we want to use like the, for example, I don't open in the nights in my restaurant. So I can use that space for continue in the future with this.
Okay, so, got that, perfect. Okay, and my last question is, are there already any platforms somewhere else like this, or have you researched references or platforms which already exist, or does anyone in this group know a platform which is similar to the one Francisca just presented? Nobody? Okay, so nobody knows a similar solution. That's interesting. Okay, because I really like it. I really think that food aid is necessary not only during crisis, because there are
all the time, right?
in need all the time. So if we in Medellin, we started food aid just because of Corona, but we're seeing that nutrition or the lack of nutrition exists also not in crisis. So yeah, that's why I'm curious to know if anyone knows a similar case. Okay, last questions maybe before we get into the next phase, which I will explain. Are there any other questions? Okay, so that was our brainstorming. The idea right now is that we're gonna reflect for some minutes and think about if there were points which are helpful for me in my institution or in my project at the moment. So is there anything which, based on what Francisca told us, could be helpful for me at the moment? And yeah, let's first reflect on that. And after we reflect, I will invite you again to share your reflection. Okay, so anyone wants to share if this is helpful or if it's inspiring for a project we already have or similar to something what we're already doing? Alvaro? You are mute?
Yes, I have some reflections. One, who are the most vulnerable? I mean, here in Santiago, there are a lot of NGOs like Junto al Barrio, Fundación Mi Parque, Techo, that work with the most vulnerable people. But with this COVID, there are many that we call the clase media. There are many old people that live in has a house, have a garden, but they don't have inputs, money. What about the resilience of this project? Do you have indicators? I mean, for example, I don't believe too much in donations. Here in Chile, the culture in Latin America, it's not very strong as in the North. But here, for example, there's an experience that is the Banca Ética. The Banca Ética is, in the last 5 years, is trying to bring with John Melé, he's from Catalonia, and he worked a lot of years with the Triodos Bank. So Chris, the Triodos Bank London has a lot of experience with organic farmers and the Soil Association in UK. So I don't know if they have some relationship between organic farmers and the gastronomy movement in UK. So I've got these questions for me and also for this lovely project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvaro. Chris, do you want to say anything in regard, like, you know, that?
I'm not aware of any of those links or projects, I'm afraid, but it's certainly something I can take away and look into. And you have to excuse me, I'm afraid, because I have a 5 o'clock trustees board meeting.
But thank you for joining. We will talk later. All righty. Bye. Nice to see you. Yeah, so anyone else? Any recommendation? Like what you have been thinking of? Does this project support you in the project you're doing right now? Ideas?
I've seen some projects, but it's just about gathering money, like the one they're doing in United States. You know, All for Challenge. I don't know if you heard about it. But many like super cool actors. I'm gonna send you the link to the chat right away. It's like they're just gathering money. They already gathered $16 million, like, and they're gonna give them for the World Central Kitchen. Wow. So, but I already sent the link to the chat. You can see it over there. And I've also seen some other projects really interesting that I think we could definitely do it here also, which is this thing that Braga did with their like fancy coats or vests. They did a specific edition of an apron that has the logo of the campaign to gather money for, it's called Relief Edition Embroidered Trail Vive Apron. It's to make some money for restaurant employees that they really need some help at this moment. So I think these are really two cool ideas. One has to do with food, which is the Bragar company, but the other one is like actors that they're like selling experiences with them, but all the money is gonna go to food foundations and projects. So I think that's something to take a look at least.
Thank you, Camilla. I have a question or reflection. To the group who is launching this project, because we're talking about financial sustainability, right? So you came up with that idea, and then with whom did you start like getting resources to kick this off? That's my first question. And you know, that's my first and only question actually. So with whom are you like kicking this off, and who's financing the first pilot? Francisca or Sebastian?
The first pilot, we are going to make the platform like with the donations. We are not looking for a founding like previously. That's your question, no?
Yeah, that was my question. I thought maybe you had some other financial support.
No, for the moment, no.
Okay.
You should, Francisca, you should explain the way you did it first. Like you just put something in Instagram. I think that would also answer it.
I was like 2 weeks ago, like wanting to make something in this moment. And I started like only taking cookies to a hospital, like for having an instance to put it in Instagram and looking if people like this and want to donate. So I put a post after the first hospital that I went. And after that, I raised like 1 million here in Chile, no US. So people was super receptive to this. I also received donations, food donations of my producers. Like the 50% they donate, 50% I bought them to them. So it was super nice, the reception, and it works super good. So we also can make something like that to make it work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Well, any other question? I think we have to go back soon.
Just a
Frederick?
short.
Yes, please.
Francisca, are you allowed to open the restaurant right now, or is it forbidden to open it due to the crisis?
I can open it only for delivery or takeaway.
Delivery.
For delivery or takeaway. In a completely different context, a few years ago, Slow Food Germany and Slow Food Europe had a nice campaign, a crowdfunding campaign kind of, for financing a big event. It was called in German Suppe mit Sinn, in English like soup with sense, or in Espanol sopa con sentido. So every slow food chef was motivated to serve a specific soup in his or her restaurant, a very simple soup, and of each soup being served would spend indirectly €1 to the project. So we had a big kind of heterogeneous bottom-up movement, so to speak, for half a year throughout all these restaurants being involved in the network, selling this soup with sense. And imagine each plate of soup indirectly generating €1 for the whole big purpose. Maybe you could transfer that to the delivery and catering aspect and just sell a specific dish and announce it that €1, or in your currency, of course, a specific amount of money is reinvested.
Wow.
On a daily basis. So that all the
Yeah,
just eating a simple soup for lunch would be motivated to indirectly spend some money.
Amazing. Yeah, that's something what we have been doing here with the restaurants as well, and we have been creating social offers, products in their menus, so everyone knows that if I buy a certain dish in the restaurant, I will donate automatically 10% of that amount, right? So. Yes. It's like okay, I'm offering you value, and it's a little bit more expensive than normal, but you know that you're going to be supporting a connection between, right? So I think that's a really clever kind of way of doing it, because it's not being just dependent on donations. Yes. It's you actually offering someone a value. And for us in Platos, that's what we did. We have now a social canasta from a French restaurant. For each box or which is sold, 10% is going to be donated. Then there is a restaurant, again, like for their lunches, 10% of that lunch is going to be donated to Platos, so we can buy healthy groceries. So I think that's a really interesting dynamic as well. Yeah. Any other proposal or ideas? Alvaro, please. You're mute. You have to unmute.
Sorry, I'm writing. There's a model that is called CSA. It means Consumers Supported Agriculture.
Yes.
It's in the USA, but it also has in Japan another name, in France, Germany.
We have it here too, yes.
Yeah, and this is, and how it works. Consumer support agriculture is not a farmer's market. It means that a group of families want to, let's say we are 4 members in my family, and I can support with 30 mil pesos a month, or 50. So now in winter, I put this money to this network of growers, and they receive the money before they need the money, and they don't need to go to the bank. So they receive the money, and then when the farm is growing up, the vegetables, they receive this canasta, this box, and so the price is more or less, but the consumers have this relationship with the farmers, and also they can the farmers, and even they can harvest with them. So maybe we can create this model with the menus. So maybe now in winter is coming, we can.
Alvaro, so no, really interesting. Does anyone have questions like to that model? Francisca, do you think that could be something interesting for you? Like, would it be easy to implement in Chile? I don't know.
Like easy, I don't know, but I think it's a super good project. Yes, totally.
Yes. Very good.
Alvaro, where does that project exist again? Do you have a link to it, which you can share in this chat?
Yes, I will look after, and I know that many chefs and restaurants participate in these locals networks of CSA. So maybe maybe near Antofagasta is very near Peru also, so they can each other with the miles and that.
That's great. Thank
Amazing. You. Really, really, really interesting. Thanks. Yeah, for example, here in Medellin, we work right now directly with eco farmers, organic farmers. So all the donations we get in, we buy canastas, like groceries from them. And our idea is that after COVID is over, people who have been donating, we will bring them to the farm. So there's a program which this farm has, which is one day a farmer. I think that's the name. And that's how we, yesterday in the call we talked a lot about this connection between city and farm, you know, like this campo a la ciudad, ciudad al campo. And I think that's what people are looking for, right? Like if they want to donate, it's not only like donate so we can help others, but donate and be part of the experience, and get to know the whole chain.
Yes, of course. Connect with the origin of the food. Sorry, I was so passionate. Sorry.
Yeah, and connect with the origin of the food. So that's what is missing. So I think that we have to. And there was, I think, I don't know in which kind of roundtable it was, but it was about thinking about sustainable solutions. And that's why I think, Francisca, it's beautiful that right now, you know, like we're thinking of like handing over food and helping the most needed, but how do we really, it's a momentum right now, which gives us the opportunity to implement long-term, mid-term solutions. So yeah, so I really loved the proposal from Alvaro or this project to make it more an experience, not only a donation. Yeah, that's great. So any other comments or questions?
I can just add one thing. This is Emily. I dropped a link in the chat because I am a member of a CSA here, and that model works really well. And I've seen it now even extend. There's like a bread company here that was supposed to open, and then like obviously they couldn't. So they did their own CSA for bread, where you can sign up for your subscription and you get credits and you can pick different things. And they added like a pay it forward option. And I think now like every week they get enough pay it forward to give out another like 100 loaves to anybody who needs it. So it works like for now. So I think it definitely can be extended beyond just produce.
Beautiful. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, that's the idea. So what I'm going to do with the information, which we're going to be sharing here, I don't know if you know, but like we're setting up a Slack channel. And I know Slack for me is also new in a way, because it's sometimes a little bit annoying, because if I don't connect to it, I don't get like the notifications, and a lot of people are kind of like giving ideas, but it's a technology and it's a tool where we do not lose the information we're sharing here in our roundtables, right? So what I'm going to do as a first step is I'm going to gather everything what we're sharing here, and I'm going to start like posting it on Slack so we don't lose. And then if we want to have more information about the link or about a project, or maybe we want to contact, we can just like comment on Slack, and then people will support, right? So that's a little bit like the idea of creating this first virtual roundtable. It's like a meeting like this, but in the end we want to bring it to this platform so we can keep talking about different kind of ideas and solutions. Just like it's a little side note, so that you know that I'm going to copy paste like some of the links so we can afterwards discuss them more in detail. Yeah, but there was a question, Francisca, to everyone. The name of the project, you mean? You were asking.
Yes, the name of the project that Emily said.
Just, is it CSA? What is the name, Emily?
Oh, I was just adding on to that, like CSAs are popular here, and I with the link I shared just links. It's something that the consumer can look at and pick all different CSAs to kind of have that experience, and farmers sign up to be part of the platform.
Okay, great. Good. So any other additions? If not, I would like make the last little round to ask each one of you. Oh, Alvaro, please.
Yes, I want to share an experience that I had in 2011. This was urban gardeners in the street of Cluipico. And there were old ladies that were in the neighborhood. So we made this organic garden in the Platabanda. Platabanda is the space that is between the road and the houses. Mm-hmm. All these neighbors has it's called fachada continua. It means all the houses are all nearby, so they don't have an inside garden. So the only space that they have is these small meters that is right beside the road, where vehicles and bicycles and people are going. So in this, we put some basils. And then I asked them, well, what can we do with these basils? The first interaction was, no, it will never work, and someone will steal this basil, so boo, 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 and we lost everything. But the basils grew up, and then I asked them, what we can do? A plant for each neighbor, or we can do pesto. Two bring brilliant solutions. One, what is pesto? I never eat pesto. And the other was that we make this spaghetti lunch with pesto inside the house of these families that they were neighbors for 15, 20, 25 years. They don't meet each other or maybe the hello, and that's all. So food, it's not also about farming, it's about relationships, experience.
Yes.
And so we can grow some local seeds. So it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. I agree. Alvaro, thank you so much. Really, really interesting. Yeah, so I would say, I don't know, like Francisca, I would ask you again. And Sebastian, what do you think has been more like helpful for like from our discussions? Do you see anything which is directly related to what you want to do?
Fran, would you like to speak? No.
No, you can speak.
Many things. I think that the idea that food is more than eating, and that we can use all the restaurants and link the people who really need food and restaurants and producers. It's a chain or a link that it's really amazing. And as some of you said, one thing is that we do it right now, that the restaurants are closed, but we have to think about this in the long term, that doing this every day, every city, everywhere. So we have many things to fine tuning, you know, but I think that the project is setting up like very good. The pilot will give you huge information that we could, of course, share with you. And that's it. We're very happy to hear all of you. Thank you very much.
Great. So let's make a last round. Thank you, Sebastian. I will start. Just like saying, for example, for me, like this discussion was really interesting because we do certain aspects already, but we haven't been able to kind of communicate it to our beneficiaries or users. So yes, we have a farmer who's supporting us right now with donations. We have a restaurant who has a social box and is selling it and giving us a percentage so we can keep doing our social work. We work with vulnerable communities, showing them how to cook and how to nourish themselves better. But like this chain, if that could be like I'm just thinking about how even if it's, I don't have to have like hundreds of farmers, but if you have one or two good farmers, 2 or 3 restaurants, and one community which you're beneficiary supporting, if we can show that this flow works and that customers of the restaurants go to the farm to see how the food was produced, right? And they are willing to pay for that experience, and we can reinvest it. That's something where I think where magic happens and where we connect, right? So for me, I would love to have more time to kind of implement some ideas. But yeah, I will keep you updated because I haven't been able to kind of like sketch it out yet in Medellin. So thank you so much. Anyone wants to share also, like
I personally agree with what you said, because I think this project, we can show like why is everyone so important in this chain. So like in the strategy of communication, that is like the most important part, that we have to show, communicate and teach people why we are like the essential parts of this whole chain of this new world, more conscious world. Like we have to tell stories, show people, talk about people, of everyone who is working or contributing in this, like also clients. We have to talk about them also.
I
so
agree.
The producers, the restaurants, the donators, the clients, everyone.
Thank you, Francisca. Yeah. Alvaro? I will do the word, and then afterwards Frederick, and we'll make the last round, right, before we have to leave this room again.
Yes, I want to share another. I have a very strong relationship with the Barrio Yungay. The Barrio Yungay, they have the relationship with the Junta de Vecinos and many local restaurants, and they want to have this relationship between the local restaurants with local neighbors that have all recipes. And also, I'm working with urban farmers. So I agree with Paola, but also remember the many neighbors here in I will name some local comunas in Santiago. What about San Miguel? What about Maipú, Puente Alto? There are many, Quinta Normal, Sebastián, Francisca, Camila knows. But these are very comunas that they are not the most vulnerable, but they have gardens.
Yes.
And many of them, just the company that is building big buildings, they all just want to buy these little houses and just to build big buildings. We call them the ghettos. So we are destroying neighborhoods. So gardens, instead of producing plants of flowers, we can have lemons, grapes, spinach. And they can also be a local for my food, for my lunch, but also to this network. That's all. And in January, I visited Lima, Peru.
Really?
Yes. I went to see
Virgilio?
certification.
Oh, okay.
And I love Lima because you have a lot of, how you call them, azoteas?
Yeah, the roofs.
The roofs. It would be great.
Yeah.
We have food there.
Thank you, Alvaro. Perfect. Let's continue with Frederick and then with Magali.
Yeah. I just wanted to put to the fore and generally emphasize that there's a lot of breeding ground, mental breeding ground to digest in my thoughts, and that I feel very, very inspired. I feel a lot of good energy where a lot of good plants can grow on, for sure. One very important issue, according to the role of the clients, might be that we all should or have to communicate to the clients in our different environments that the client, each and every consumer, has personal agency. It's creating food systems is a kind of social engineering. And many clients and consumers, so to speak, the broad masses, in my perception at least, understand themselves as some passive elements in the long value chain. And as soon as they understand that bypassing the food system, not going to supermarkets, not going to discounters as far as possible, but supporting the local farmer, shake the hand of the farmer, might be a good structural tool to rebuild connections. And if we are succeeding in the communication to clients that they are an integral part of this, of all we're talking about, it might be a first communicative key to success, I think.
Beautiful. Yeah, I agree on that. I think the clients are so important. Like we have to put them into
it's agency. It's about agency. We are embedded in the universe, yes, and we're not outside of it.
Yeah, I remember once I went to a farm and they showed me the chickens, right? Like the happy chickens on the farm, and it was such a beautiful connection in that moment because they were not afraid at all. You know, they came to you and you could like even hug them. It was really, and I don't know, like we don't have that connection anymore. As a client, you just go, you just consume, but you have no connection to what you're actually eating and doing. And I don't know, it's, yeah, I think it's great. Thank you, Frederik. Magali.
Yeah.
Last word, please.
Okay, right. You know what? I was just, I mean, so inspired by all those great ideas in this project. That's what I wanted to be part of the group 3. We were together with Paola and Francisca and Amber yesterday, right? Sharing this possibility of starting this communication networking. And I just read in the newspaper in Peru that this young couple has made a startup where they have connected 450 restaurants, right? And this is just the beginning, because these are restaurants that are doing, you know, with doors shut because we're not allowed to open. And they have been working on delivering, you know, those are all small businesses, and they are delivering food directly to homes. But then the social component was missing. And this is just the part that, you know, everything linked together, because these restaurants are being able to work, right? Because consumers are buying, but there's always a portion that can be separated, right? To be included or being used to go to the most vulnerable people. So I just wanted to thank you all, because this has been really, really, really like soul food for me this morning, where I can start putting some ideas in order, and maybe, if I'm luck, just be able to propose those to the Ministry of Economy and Finance in Peru.
Yeah, Magali, I wish I'm so happy about like your, you know, like your participation always and enthusiasm, and I think we should have much more government representatives doing part of this session. Okay, Camila, we have only 1 minute left. Joaquin, I don't see him right now. I'm going to give Camila the last word before we have to go back. And maybe Joaquin also 1 minute.
Just to close, I would say that this is definitely a long-term project. This has changed our minds. This has settled us as individuals to move from our comfortable position. On the pilot, we have restaurants like 99, which is and BOA, and restaurants in the northern part of Chile, but you have this restaurant like 99, which is part of the 50 best of Latin America, and he's moving on to this new idea of being a restaurant. So I'm so happy to be part of it.
Camila, thanks. Please, last word, Joaquin. Are you with us? You want to say something in the last 30 seconds?
She's not here.
Sebastian.
Joaquin is not here.
Okay. Oh, I thought I see him.
He put a message saying that.
Okay.
No.
Perfect. Then did I miss anyone? Chloe, maybe, or Emily? Do you want to say something?
Thank you very much. The room is closing now.
Everyone.
Hello.